I'm Arch Prelate Alzor, and here we shall look at the intricacies of the world of Mortuul. Now, before we start this, it is important that Arch Librarian Lionel Dane compiled an accurate and extensive account within each of the sections below, but it has been decided this would be far too ponderous for the listener, and other sections were seen as far too volatile to have a generalised book or notes for such a thing. As such, I have decided to compile the most important aspects of his writing. Technology. The complex question of technological advancement amongst the peoples of Mortuul is not one to be approached lightly. The world has passed through ages with new discoveries, ideas and a better understanding of life both here and on the other planes of existence. The now ancient draconian Dwinmore empires still have left many an interesting artefact for us to find as each civilization builds upon the broken foundations of their time and so forth. We have seen the mastery of iron and steel, the complex machinations of clockwork gears, the renaissance in architecture and natural magics that have given many impressive structures such as the Dynatir Tower or the Great White Tree of Elnath. Yet despite this, there is still much to learn. For example, the great structures adorned with dragons that predate the First Age are still a mystery to us, despite more being discovered near ancient dragon gates. We know more about the seemingly infinite planes of existence than our own deep oceans on the planet itself. Whether each race or nation has different methods or approaches to the technology, it is certain to any one of us how far we have come from those hunter-gatherer days in times past to the now. One thing that is certain, that with each successive disaster, conflict and creativity from the individuals of all walks of life, the more advanced the races of this great planet become. Constructs. Magical constructs are rare, but the knowledge of their existence is common. Golems, for example, have been used as minions, help, or weapons of war since the advent of magic and the arcane masterings. The invention of clockwork constructs, in comparison, came about only recently. Created by accident from a toy maker living in Ursona, who imbued one of his creations with arcane energy and brought it to life. This has led to an explosion of clockwork machinations. Now, from the small message-carrying beetles to the large dwarven clockwork mining instruments, it's become apparent that although a new discovery, clockworks in their many forms are becoming more and more important. The Dragon Gates. Spread across the world seemingly randomly are structures that predate the First Age by some thousands of years. In the shape of colossal archways adorned with dragon-like effigies, little is known about these structures save they have resonance of arcane energy. Recently, it was recorded that in some cultures, they were actually doorways used by the first race who existed long before the oceans moved or the wind blew, and who are responsible for the creation of many of the older creatures on our world, such as giants and the dragons. Many of these gates are worn by time and elements and now resemble nothing more than ruins. Yet they still entice archaeologists and scholars alike, believing that the secrets within could unlock many of the universe's questions, even questions we are still yet to ask. Money and wealth. During the first trade fair of the Age of Discovery, it was agreed by the then Elven and Dwarven empires that a single currency should be introduced to allow easier trade and the comparison of market values between all nations. And so a tiered system of gold, silver and copper coinage was introduced. This system has stalwartly stood the test of time and remains used today by all nations. While the images struck upon the coins and their shape may differ depending on national preferences, the exchange rate is consistent across all countries. 10 coppers make a silver, 10 silvers make a gold. Other wealth and items, such as gems and jewels, can be used in trade as they have an appraised value. Wealth can also come from natural resources available to each nation. Examples of these include the precious stones of Dwinmore, coal deposits in Elise, and the hard wood of the Elnath forests. Everything in Mortuul has a price. It's just a case of finding what it's worth to the right person. Magic and the arcane. Magic has many forms, from the arcane itself to the natural magics of the forests and those that wield energies granted to them by their gods. Each of these are as old as time itself and has played an important part in the shaping of the world. Thousands of artefacts, weapons and tools have all been magically imbued to increase their effectiveness and properties to both help or hinder, and those skilled in these arts of these said magics or utilising the power have become some of the great changers and movers in our history. This power, however, can be a burden to some, as it can come with mistrust from those who do not understand or simply fear it. What is apparent, however, is the role it still has to play in our world. Language. Upon the creation of the tiered money system for trade, it was also decided that a trade language should be created to help with commerce and communication, and thus Trade Basic came into being. This would eventually be known as Common, or the Common Tongue, after it was adopted by the humans as their base language. Important note, humans do struggle with some Elven and Dwarven pronunciations. End note. Because of this, it's very rare to find an individual who does not speak or on the basic level understand Common. Other languages have become more prevalent in day-to-day use, and as with the growth of civilizations has continued, so did the exchange of words and phrases, to the point that today a human fluent in Elven or an orc able to understand Gnomish is not unheard of. There are other secret languages, such as the utterings of druids who pass their knowledge on to others belonging to their way of life, or the mishmash of phrases used by the Thieves Guild in their shadowy plans of the criminal organisations of the world. Religion. There are scores of gods from both good and evil, followed by many races and groups. Each nation has one or two particular religions that are prominent within its borders, but it is still likely to find small churches or shrines to other gods, depending on the area and the influences around it. Some of the nation's people have over time even evolved ideals and created aspects to follow as more of a moral compass, rather than wanting to join the dogma of one of the many organised religions. Right, thank you very much for listening, guys. So that was the intricacies of the world. Next we'll be going into the nations of Eastrim itself and looking more in depth. Now I will be re-uploading the Elise episode when that comes, and I've also taken into account the comments I got. So when we talk about the actual areas, specific areas in a country, I'll keep the main colour mapping so it's not covered by the AI generated art. And so you can actually see where each one is. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Cheers for the continued support on this little mini series. Hope you're enjoying it, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.